Working with textures, we're limited to the amount of resolution we have within the textures, and which is important for making sure that we keep our file sizes small. But it also reduces the amount of quality that we can have within our final products within our textures. So there are a couple things that we can do. When working with larger items like this, we can increase the complexity within the viewer by adding multiple textures like we're doing here. And you can see there's a texture for the ribbon, there's a texture for the bow, and a different texture for this little frill here. I could easily combine all of these to one texture, but it will reduce the flexibility that we have. And it will also reduce the potential quality that we can have from the product. So if we go ahead and just start adding different textures here, let's say we'll bring this in, and then we can hit apply. So now I'm able to get this texture applied within this section, and I'm able to do the same thing with the entire blouse. One thing that we can do within our textures, we can apply some repeating. We can get creative. If we look at the second portion within my post, I talk about doing these tiling UVs, which is what I ended up doing for this blue ribbon and this outer skirt actually. So if I go ahead and find this blue and replace this, I can let's try this, hit apply. You get to see that we have high quality repeating coming along this image. So we'll have essentially nicer lace coming in, even though the image itself isn't really the best quality. It's a low resolution. It's a low resolution image. You get to see here it doesn't really work well with an opacity. But if we go ahead and look at this skirt, I can apply this texture. You get to see that this texture has red, green, and blue going across, but it's repeating. So we have red, green, blue, and then red, green, blue again. And it repeats all the way through. So that allows me to take a smaller image, and this is only a 16 by 16 image, and you get to see how it's covering the entire skirt. And if we were to grab, let's say, this tileable texture here, you get to see that I have the image going through, and the quality is fairly decent for covering the entire mesh here, and you get to see that it repeats. So this affords a semi-customizable texture where you can figure out how you would want this repeatable texture to repeat and go all the way across, and you get some high quality from here. But the issue is, if you want a totally custom dress, you don't have the ability of doing this. You have so let's say you wanted a section here to be torn off with an opacity. If you were to do something like that with this texture, with this map, you would have 3 tears going across, which may not be what you like. So you gain quality, but you lose control over it. So the alternative to something like this would be to do how things are traditionally done. And we will be able to see how this is working out, because I actually have a different petticoat underneath, layered underneath, and we'll just wait for this to come in, and we'll just hit apply. So here's the petticoat that's underneath, and I actually have my vertex colors on here. So even with just pink on, wrong one. Even with just pink applied, we're able to get some more detail from here. So let's turn this off. It's going to be distracting. So if we were to look at that same image applied, we'll have the most control over this, but in the long run we also lose quality. So this is one. You get to see here we have this one loop coming across, and it starts and ends in the back, and goes all the way back this way. So with this, you get ultimate control over your final piece, but you also lose the quality. And then just to compare the 2 different quality pieces, I can delete the opacity. So before before I refresh, this is full custom. This is one 512 image, and here is the same 512 image repeated 3 times. So you get to see how much more fidelity we're holding within the image. So what do you guys prefer? Do you prefer having this sort of quality here and having the and having the image repeat? Would you like it to repeat many more times so you can get higher quality, even higher quality, or would you like a combination of both options within within the mesh? And I do something similar here within the blouse. So any strips that are going across like this, all strips, I treat them as something that you would want tiled. So here, well, in this case, here's a combination where I have 2 maps, and within the map, everything up here on the top, these are all tileable sections. So if I were to just take one of these tiling bits and just apply it, you get to see how well it's mapping on these different elements here. And for the blouse itself, you have the ability of using custom textures. You get to paint and utilize whichever you like. And for both, we also have vert colors applied. So give me your feedback on what you prefer. Do you prefer having more control over your final output, your final where your images, where your colors go, or do you like having this increased level of quality by doing this tiling?